Wroblewski is going to do her first icebreaker under the effective coaching pathway entitled Mom, That's Me. Amy.
Right over here real quick. Good evening. I want to start off by asking everyone, how many of you feel that you have a strong parental instinct? Quite a few of you, okay. I have two girls of my own, Grace, who's 7, and Lily, who's 5, so of course I feel I have this parental instinct as well. But the funny thing is I felt that I've had this instinct for a long time before my girls were actually born. And in the speech I'm going to tell you why I believe that is, some things in my life that have affected that, as well as how that ties in to Toastmasters and me being here today. First, I'm going to start with a little backstory. Like most of you, I was not born in Florida. I was actually born in Joliet, Illinois. And I was born to two parents who were both from a family of 5. So I had plenty of cousins as well as family friends growing up. And that left me with a lot of kids to play with. Because of that, I think most people probably can't tell right off the bat that I'm an only child. Never liked that stigmata on that. However, being an only child left me with a lot of independence. Two working parents meant I had a lot of things that I had to learn to do on my own and advance a little bit above my peers, which gave me a lot of skills that I learned early on versus later in life. Now, growing up with all those family friends, I had mostly boy cousins on one side and mostly girl cousins on the other, so I learned to play a lot of different games, but I also learned to adapt to what they wanted to do and not just focus on me and do what they wanted to do. I think that led me to have a lot of empathy for those around me, as well as listening skills, and when I needed to, assertiveness. Now, when I was 8 years old, my life changed dramatically. We moved from Illinois to Florida, and I moved away from all of that family that was surrounding me constantly. I was now an only child, just me and my parents, and it left me with a lot of reservations. I was already a little shy, but this really pushed me over the edge, and I had to relearn how to make friends because I was born with a bunch of friends. I didn't really need to make that many at school. I had plenty at home. Now, this reservations might seem like a detrimental thing, but it actually ended up helping me because through my shyness and reservations, I met my best friend for a very long time, Heather, which we actually still talk today. Through Heather, a lot of my motherly instincts really evolved, I think. I helped by teaching her how to speak out for herself. We were both very shy, which led to our immediate friendship. But through us, and she was a lot more shy than me, through that, at a parent-teacher conference, my teacher told my mother that even though she had Heather the previous year, she thinks because of me and our friendship, that she had heard her speak for the first time that year. At our lunch table, I often had to parrot back everything she said because she spoke in such low tones, and I was the only one used to it that I could hear what she said, but no one else could. It was a very, very pleasant surprise when later that year, she spoke loud enough for the whole table to hear, and I no longer had to be that parent. Me and Heather hung out a lot, and through that we ended up babysitting a lot for her younger sisters and cousins. And unlike most stereotypical teenagers you see babysitting who ignore the kids, let them do their thing, and are on the phone or watching TV, we actually played games with them and made sure to include them in all of our interactions. Whether it was making up dance parties, doing makeovers, playing tag, whatever it was, we always made sure that they were included and that they were with us doing something fun. This left us as the reserved babysitters most of the time because we were most often requested. Along the way, we ended up making more friends, obviously, and I eventually actually started being called the mom of the group. I was labeled such by one of the friends, and a lot of them ended up calling me mom. I think through my listening skills as well as my instinct to kind of instinctually tell when something was wrong and my need to help, that's probably what got to it. That and of course that every field trip we went on I carried around a fanny pack. Needless to say, a middle school or high schooler with a fanny pack on field trips, I got made fun of by them. But in true mom fashion, by the end of the field trip, every single one of them had either used something in it because I always packed extra, or had something stored in it because I made sure there was room. After a couple of these times, they stopped making fun of my fanny pack. They found it quite useful themselves. So whether it was an open ear advice, or something as simple as Advil in a tissue. I was always there for them and was proud to be the mom of the group. I took pride in that. And I like to think that even though we don't talk as much nowadays, that they would know that I will still always be there for them, and I will always be there if ever they called for me. Now, being a mom to your group of friends is not quite the same as being your mom to a 7- and 5-year-old, but I think a lot of these skills and instincts that I picked up along the way have grown and changed to help me on my journey now. It's a much more important job, and this journey has most recently led me to homeschooling. I started homeschooling Grace this year. Next year I'll have both of my girls at home with me, and what better way to instill learning in them than learning something new myself? So here I am. I chose the effective coaching pathway because what better way to help push them when they're having a struggling time in later years with tougher subjects than by learning coaching skills here. So I've always been known as Mom because simply that's me.